I begin each day with the intention of being present. It is a practice, and a challenging one at that. But there are two places where I can find solace from the noise of the world: within the landscape and within the studio. I believe we originate from a quiet place and carry that energy within us always. To pause and recognize ourselves within the natural world is to know a common thread runs throughout. I'm interested in creating spaces of stillness and connection by exploring how our human form impacts and is mirrored within nature. I look at a seed or the shape of a leaf, and I see the human figure. It embodies the patterns and symmetries of all living systems. This is my inspiration. Seeds and leaves encompass a large part of my most recent work. But these quiet forms have always been a part of me, emerging even in my earliest work as a student of art. My passion for sculpture began years ago when I discovered a love for carving stone. I was taught to work intuitively with the material and allow the form to develop and unfold organically. I immediately connected with this way of working, and repetitive methods like carving and sanding still remain an essential part of my practice. Along with my sculpture classes, I also studied life drawing and botany. Both had a profound influence on my direction. I've always had an intense curiosity with the relationship between exterior and interior. Cutting objects in half to reveal the inner layer, to expose and investigate what is beneath the skin, describing form, and symmetry, something so ubiquitous it is part of our bodies and of all living things. It is only recently that I looked to botanical diagrams and illustrations for my research into seed and leaf forms. They are abstracted, but still grounded in life, reality, science, inspired by the interconnectedness of the natural world. But unlike the cycle of life and growth found in nature, for me, the leaves came first. Growing up in the Midwest, I've always had an affinity for trees and the leaves they hold. Their simplicity of form and connection with nourishment and protection. I often stop and pick up random leaves on the sidewalk and trails near my home. They remind me of the Midwestern landscape and the farm where I spent my youth. I've been investigating leaf forms for the past few years, and in 2016, I created the first biophilia wall installation as part of the Contemporary Form Awards exhibition at the Phoenix Art Museum. The work is comprised of over 500 porcelain leaves suspended by sewing needles. When I was working on this piece, I meditated about the importance of process in my work and how it evokes stillness, connection, balance, underlying themes that began years ago with my thesis work and are even more relevant now in today's world. As I reflect upon this past year, I am grateful for my work and the time spent within the bubble of my studio. Here, I think about finding a sense of balance between solitude and isolation, and connection and disconnection. I think of an article I read earlier this year that stated, quote, "In rebuilding a broken world, we will have the chance to choose a less hurried life." I'm currently working on panels for my next series involving leaves. It explores balance through the lens of strength, the strength that exists somewhere between the stillness of solitude and the energy of connection. The panels vary in size and will hold porcelain leaves that are once again supported by sewing needles. Similar to the biophilia leaves, they are distilled to essential shapes and carry symbols of life and reproduction inspired by human and botanical anatomy. Yellow ochre pigment is used in the carved areas of the leaves and panels, along with a little graphite. For me, these forms hold a sense of quiet strength and resonate with the energy that surrounds them. I like the thought of their presence having a ripple effect, like sound waves or concentric circles in water. A design and concept similar to the Luster series, a grouping of works comprised of cast aluminum, wood, and graphite. The leaves are individuals, unique in shape, texture, pattern, elements that are repeated and carved within each corresponding panel. They have their own place, yet they are connected, each one an important part of the whole. I created the Biophilia seed panel in 2019 for my solo exhibition at the Mesa Contemporary Arts Museum. A sister piece for the leaves panel, it houses 575 clay seed forms supported by individual sewing needles. The seeds mirror their leaf offshoots and echo them in size. They are inspired by vintage illustrations of actual trees and the forms connected to their life cycles. They too carry ambiguous symbols of life and reproduction, carved textures and elements tinted with earth pigments and graphite. I connect with the quiet nature of clay. It is a grounded material that fosters a meditative state of mind. Much like carving stone and wood, working with clay is a very present process. My newest work with seeds continues the thoughts and concepts of connectedness that began with the Biophilia series. As I make these new seeds, I contemplate the idea of home, the soil and ground beneath my feet, and once again, balance. This newest work explores resilience and my own personal connection to the landscape. I draw inspiration from the flora of the Sonoran Desert and the foothills of the Superstition Mountains. This is my home. The longer I live here, the more I realize the importance of place. Although my roots are in the Midwest, the desert is where I've grown the most, and I'm ever fascinated by the beauty, color, and diversity that thrives here. I use stencils to create the initial shapes. The pieces are cut out and sculpted using designs inspired by the blooming trees, shrubs, and cacti of the landscape. The scale of each seed will vary in size but remain small, no larger than the palm of my hand. As I work on this new series, my thoughts on seeds are many. They are the underpinnings of natural systems. They are mysterious, complex, and similar to leaves, they nourish. For me, Seeds are metaphors for the human condition. They flourish in both darkness and light and hold amazing potential energy. They are powerful but still, filled with information, beauty, and growth. As the seeds become a little drier, they are detailed and carved. This clay body is called Black Mountain. It has a gritty texture, giving the carvings a more weathered look, which I like. The seeds will fire to a rich earthy black color, and after firing, they are ready for a very important step with this particular project, and that is color. Within the desert landscape, I see color as a symbol of resilience. There are hundreds of plants that grow with little or no water, yet survive and produce vibrant seed-bearing flowers. Blooms that range in spectrum from yellow to orange to red to purple. The seeds will reflect this palette through the use of earth pigments, a step that will come much later after some experimentation. And as with the seeds of biophilia, the color will be subtle, applied and layered to accentuate the incised areas, details, and textures of each form. The scope of this new series will be my largest yet, and no doubt carry thousands of small seeds. Like most of my work, it will grow and change organically. Wherever it takes me, I know the finished piece will reflect a personal journey, one grounded in connection with the landscape and driven by the meditative experience of making. My passion for ecology, anatomy, and the intuitive study of form continues, and so does my interest in seeds and leaves, ever-present constructs of nature. They remind me that stillness is not only a state of being, but also a place.